So after the end of VCT Stage 2 a few weeks ago, I finished up my co-streams and I went on holiday for a week. I didn't look at any VCT news at all while I was there, and I didn't think anything particularly crazy was going to happen. Then I got back. First thing I saw, a post titled VCT EMEA Update. Riot Games has terminated Movistar Koi's partnership agreement with the VCT. What the fuck? Okay, this is a pretty crazy situation with a lot of conflicting info, but let's start with the statement from Riot themselves. Riot Games has terminated Movistar Koi's partnership agreement with the VALORANT Champions Tour EMEA following a breach of the team's contractual agreement with the league. So Koi are gone from the VCT, and there's a legally definitive reason why. The rest of the statement goes on to say 3 important things. Koi's current players will be made free agents, but will have more time to find a team as a result of this decision. This doesn't affect Koi in any other Riot esport, like League of Legends. And finally, that a new org will take their place for next season, keeping the Ascension tournament the same, basically as if Koi were never in the league to begin with. Today, we'll dissect what it all means for Koi, Riot, and the VCT, why exactly this has happened, and whether or not it's all just a conspiracy to get Gentlemates back in the league. But just before we get into everything, I want to once again thank ExitLag for sponsoring this video. If you're a regular viewer, you'll already know how ExitLag can reduce lag in your games, whether that's Valorant, another FPS, or any online multiplayer game. With its dedicated servers all around the world, ExitLag's AI route optimization and multipath connection will ensure your data takes the fastest possible path to the server, giving you reduced ping and a smooth connection. And with their new FPS boost upgrades, not only will your internet connection feel consistent, but your game will run better than ever before. I've recently been getting these micro stutters in-game where my ping will randomly spike, and it's so annoying. It always happens right when somebody peeks me. But with ExitLag turned on, those stutters disappear, and I can game in peace. That is the only bad thing about ExitLag. It gives me one less excuse for going 4-14 in my ranked games. But the best part about ExitLag is probably how easy it is to use. Just click my link in the description, create an account, download the software, and you're ready to go. And with their current offer for a whole year's subscription for only half the price, now is the perfect time to try it. Thanks again to ExitLag for sponsoring this portion of the video. Okay, so the first question you might have in this scenario is how Riot can just kick a team out of franchising. But the VCT isn't actually a franchise system. Instead of the teams paying Riot pay the teams to be a part of the league, which also gives Riot full control over who they bring in and who they kick out. So the second question you might have is why Riot would do this, and there's a few reasons for Koi that are fairly obvious. First of all, Koi have never been good. With no international appearances, besides lock-in where they got first rounded, and an average VCT EMEA placement of 10th, they've just been consistently pretty awful. Just by looking at their rosters, it's clear they've never built a team with the intention of really challenging for the top of the league. Their skin bundle sales and viewership this year have also been really low, actually coming last place in bundle sales for 2025. Basically, Koi's time in VCT has largely been a disaster, but none of this would constitute a contractual obligation. As many people pointed out, Furia have also been bad in VCT Americas for a few years now, and definitely aren't selling a huge amount of skins. So for Koi, there must be something else, and that's the contractual breach mentioned in the statement, and that almost certainly has to do with Ibai. Spanish streamer Ibai Llanos is one of the biggest names in streaming. He's the #1 most followed Twitch streamer with 19.8 million, and just recently set the record for peak viewers at 9.3 million. He's also the co-founder and face of Koi, and the person who brings hundreds of thousands of people into their fanbase. He used to watch all of Koi's matches live on stream, drawing thousands and thousands of viewers, something that Riot really wanted to capitalize on in the VCT, and Koi knew this. They leaned on it heavily in their partnership application to VCT EMEA, but Riot wanted to make sure they were getting what Koi promised, and so added an extra condition into the contract specifically to Koi that practically said Ibai had to co-stream every match of Koi. And for the first year or so, this worked out great. Koi pulled really good viewership and sold the 4th most team bundles in 2024. But then it all stopped. Ibai took an extended break from co-streaming Koi's matches, and that specific clause that Riot added, it wasn't being fulfilled. Koi did get in a new co-streamer, Sergio Ferrer, a Spanish VCT caster, who actually pulled really good numbers, and Ibai still appeared on Sergio's stream throughout the season, but for Riot, that wasn't enough. They wanted Ibai, and that wasn't what they got. So, Riot pulled the plug. According to Sheep Esports, Riot accused Koi of failure to immediately replace Ibai Llanos as the main asset broadcasting the matches, and of not fulfilling the co-streaming hours that were contractually required, a clause unique to Koi within the EMEA partnership structure. From Riot's perspective, they granted Koi a spot in the league because of Ibai's influence, but once Koi stopped delivering on that, it wasn't worth having them in the league moving forward. Whether or not you think this is unfair is up to you, but Koi themselves definitely had some feelings about it. Ibai released a video statement just after the announcement, which tells us how Koi feel about the situation, and it's clear his main problem isn't actually with them being kicked out. He says he understands Koi have handled things really badly in the VCT, especially with content, skin sales, and team performance.
Como sabéis, creo que a nivel de contenidos no hemos sido ni mucho menos los mejores. A nivel de venta de skins no hemos sido los mejores, de hecho este año hemos quedado últimos. Y sobre todo, y creo que lo que todos sabéis, es que a nivel deportivo hemos funcionado muy mal. Es evidente, creo que a nivel deportivo ha sido desastroso y creo que tenemos que asumir las culpas como club.
But instead, Koi's problem is with how Riot handled this situation. He says that Riot invited them to an urgent meeting the day before the announcement, and initially they thought the meeting was going to be about their players making too many jokes on stage. They were caught completely off guard when Riot told them that they were going to be kicked out, especially considering the announcement was coming the next day. He says they got no warnings before this point, and that it came out of nowhere.
Creo que las formas en las que Riot ha hecho esto han sido, en fin, han dejado mucho que desear. Para que tengáis una idea de nuestro contexto, estos meses o durante este año, en ningún momento se nos ha dado un aviso previo de que esto podía pasar. Es decir, no ha habido un oye que os vamos a echar, oye que si no mejoráis en tal os vamos a echar, oye que si no pasa esto os vamos a echar. En ningún momento ha pasado esto.
But according to Riot, this isn't exactly true. Sheep Esports writes, Riot claims it flagged these shortcomings several times. Sheep Esports sources, who are members of Koi, confirmed that Riot had in fact raised concerns time to time throughout the 2024 season. In January of 2025, Riot reportedly sent the first real warning to the organization, notifying Koi of its contractual breaches. A few months later, in May, Riot met with Fernando Piquer, Chief Strategy Officer of Overactive, in Berlin to once again discuss these issues. So even though Ibai might not have been notified, it seems that Koi did have some warning, but this might just be another sign that Koi's communication isn't exactly stellar. Ibai says they tried everything in that final meeting to try and get Riot to change their minds. He offered to co-stream VCT and LEC, and even to improve their competitive performance, but Riot just wouldn't budge.
Es una decisión tomada, firme, y que no va a cambiar aunque venga el Papa a streamear y a co-streamear los partidos con nosotros.
He also says Riot gave them only one day to sort everything out, and offered no extended time to prepare a statement. Koi were apparently under the impression that they were still in the league next year because they were working on their 2026 Classic, but that clearly wasn't the case. They had also already signed a head coach and were already scouting players, both of which they now have to abandon. Ibai does seem sad about losing the slot, but more so about Riot's handling of the situation. But then he says something a little bit off script.
El hecho de que Gentlemates pueda estar en la liga ha sido absolutamente fundamental, porque siento que han buscado cualquier tipo de excusa para echar a un equipo y meter a Gentlemates, que como sabéis, Gentlemates es un equipo muy importante para VCTMA, ha descendido, ha perdido la plaza y creo que han intentado, pues bueno, echar, en fin, al que más se lo merece, que en este caso es a Movistar Koi, para que Gentlemates esté en la liga.
He does make it clear this is just his assumption and not fact, but it's still a pretty wild accusation to level at Riot, although I guess he doesn't have to worry about Koi losing their slot anymore.
Un cúmulo de todo. Nivel deportivo, nivel de contenido, nivel de venta de skins. En definitiva, en muchos aspectos, somos el peor equipo VCT, sobre todo a nivel deportivo. Y eso creo que es evidente y hay que hacer autocrítica. Lamentablemente, en el año en el que pensábamos que íbamos a poder salvar esta situación, nos han echado. Así que nos hemos quedado a las puertas de poder cambiar nuestro futuro.
But Koi's CEO also put out a statement on the situation where he said, quote, "This isn't about Koi's performance, our players, or our content. This is about technical deals in the contract, deals we worked hard to meet and for which we provided strong alternatives throughout the year, only to discover recently that they would not be accepted." This makes the theory that this was done simply because Ibai had not co-streamed the games and therefore broke the contract very feasible, and that despite bringing in Sergio Ferrer as their replacement, that wasn't enough for Riot. Either way, Koi are now out of the league, and so let's talk about some orgs that could potentially replace them, starting with the one Ibai thinks will rejoin the league, Gentlemates. To be completely fair to Ibai, if there was one org that Riot would want in the league, it would almost certainly be Gentlemates. During the 2 years that they were in the VCT, they did almost everything right. Their owners, Squeezy, Gotaga and Brooks, are all massive French co-streamers, and they were very involved with the team. Pretty often you saw them in the arena watch partying the games, and they consistently sold some of the highest amount of skins in the league. The only thing that didn't go well was their performance, but I think it's clear to everyone that this year their team had the potential to do really well, but just kept on crumbling as soon as they hit 12 rounds. Gentlemates have shown they're willing to take a chance on up-and-coming talent, and also to invest big money in the league, both things that KOI didn't really do. Their fanbase is also huge, and they consistently hit great viewership numbers. They would be an amazing org to be in the league from Riot's perspective, no doubt, but it's up to Riot on whether they want to add back an org that did get relegated this season. Another option is a German team, since the league is based in Berlin, and there's a few candidates who have supported the Tier 2 scene for a while, like Mouse and Focus. There are many orgs that could replace KOI, but at the end of the day, it will be the one that Riot thinks is the most viable. But if it does turn out to be Gentlemates, there's no doubt there will be an org-wide crash out from KOI. But at the end of the day, KOI are out of the league. It'll be interesting to see who replaces them, and maybe they can get the Pope in for a co-stream. But with that, I've been Commend, subscribe if you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.